and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
And today, this podcast is a rockin'.
Is it? We haven't even recorded it yet.
Yeah, how do we know? Or is this like an encore? We've already done the main show and we've come back.
Is it, rockin' or are we on the edge of hell?
No!
Very well could be. I don't know. I'm torn between these two concepts. A rock and roll nightmare or being on the edge of hell.
Well, one of them,
the
I mean, they both have something to do with the film, but hey, let's not get into spoiler territory.
Yeah, let's not spoil the episode that, the title of the movie that people have.
Well, okay, so most people know this movie as Rock and Roll Nightmare from 1987.
This is a famous bad movie, right? Everybody knows this movie.
I mean, I didn't know it, but apparently people know who Thor is.
John Mickle
Canada's own Thor Mickle. I can't say his name.
Do you know John Mickle Thor? I'd heard of him.
I have met John Mickle Thor when he did a screening of his documentary at the Royal. Yes.
This is crazy. So I guess this came after, Anvil, the story of Anvil.
Yep.
It was like the story of a famous Toronto heavy metal band.
That's a great documentary.
It's really, really good. And so I'd been vaguely aware of Thor, John Mickle Thor.
Wait, was he in Anvil or is that just another
No. It was another kind of
doc?
exposing a kind of famous Canadian heavy metal band that really didn't reach the heights of Metallica or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then I Am Thor came out, and I still haven't seen it. I really want to see it. And I'm I'm kind of vaguely aware of this guy, yeah, and I didn't really. I wanted to watch it before I watched this movie to give it context.
He is most famous for starring in Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Really?
Okay, here's my question though. Do we know if Rock and Roll Nightmare is your typical vanity project? I mean, he did write it.
And produce it. Yes, I believe.
Yeah.
And it is shot in Canada, and that's his own doing, I believe. Well, not the director, who's American. Yeah.
So he's from Vancouver, and they clearly shot this in Ontario. Because,
the Ontario license plate.
Yeah. And there's also someone who's like, we're the Mississauga chapter of the Tritons.
So people who don't know, Mississauga is a town outside of Toronto.
Yeah. There's very many. I feel like it was funded by some Toronto council because he gives a shout out, which we'll get into later. But
it's distributed by Shapiro, who's part of Shapiro Glickenhaus, who's a big American firm who did stuff like Frankenhooker, The Exterminator, and other stuff like that. Which is probably why it got a bigger release than it otherwise would have of other Connexploitation
But
stuff.
Thor, the band, was big, kind of big.
It was not big.
I have no idea.
It was never big, I don't think.
Did they cross over to the States? I'm sure some people probably knew about them, right?
Maybe.
Not really.
I don't know.
A lot of music, but I you know what? I'm not in the heavy metal scene, so maybe.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You're asking the wrong guy.
Someone let us know if you were a 80s metal hair.
It's
metal
weird. I was
fan.
into 80s heavy metal, but Iron Maiden, Judas Priest,
I was gonna say Cinderella, Def Leppard,
Dio?
Motley Crue, Dio, Black Sabbath, Venom, Wasp,
I don't
all this sort of stuff.
Those are Marvel superheroes, right?
Ant-Man,
Aerosmith,
Doctor
all
Strange,
the greats, right?
All those guys.
Toys in the Attic, baby.
Poison.
Yeah, I'd really
Poison.
never heard of Thor until the trailer for the documentary came out, and I was like,
the Hooters. Who can forget the Hooters, right?
What was that, a band? No.
Yeah, they have the song "And We Danced." It's not a heavy metal band. And we danced, dun dun. No, all right.
Hooters.
Yeah,
the Hooters.
The Hooters. I once made a joke of I saw when you would go to Walmart. That it would be the best of collections.
Yeah.
And there was one for the Hooters, and my friend was like, what the hell? Is it just 10 covers of the one hit single they had? What else could it be?
Or they always joke, it's the shortest. I went to Shoppers Drug Mart, and they had a CD. I always joke with my mom. It was the best of bagpipe music. And I'm like, that's the shortest CD of all time.
Because the best of is one song. It's
because it's all awful.
It's all awful, yeah.
It's terrible.
Do you think
Wait, what bagpipe music are you singing, April?
It was Scotland the Brave.
Is that a song?
It is. That's Scotland the Brave.
Do you think they play the Hooters at Hooters?
And we danced. Yeah, great music. But getting back to Rock and Roll Nightmare. So this film was directed by John Fasano, who has a fascinating career.
This is crazy.
Yeah, so he
No, you
made
go ahead.
good later in life because he is... Okay, supposedly one of the early writers of some of these films. Another 48 Hours, Universal Soldier: The Return. He also worked in pornography early on in his career, writing Shauna, Every Man's Fantasy, which was directed by a favorite of mine,
He's a
Roberta
regular
Findlay.
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Oh, I'm sure Will
Yeah.
Sloan knows what that movie is. I have heard of Roberta Findlay, though. So
And Die Hard with a
Yes.
Vengeance. He was apparently a very well-known Hollywood script doctor.
he's done
Yeah.
a lot of sequels, it would seem.
And he was a producer on Tombstone, the
That's-
Kurt Russell movie,
That's crazy.
which blew my mind.
Did he direct maybe some of it? One of the movies I almost suggested for this podcast, but I wanted to go with something popular people would know. He made a film called The Jitters, which is a hopping vampire film set in Toronto's Chinatown.
What?
Wow,
Yeah.
a hopping vampire film not from Asia.
Not from Hong Kong,
Wait,
no. So
so-
it has none of the dynamic action or any of the excitement. It does star James Wong in one of the 1,000 film roles that he took.
Wait, what year
Eh,
was this?
Definitely, was it
80s?
the 80s? Yeah, I'm looking
Really?
here. The Jitters, 1989 it was made.
The Jitters sounds like an 80s rockabilly band.
I
It
feel like I may have read the name The Jitters in a film textbook about Canadian movies.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not very good. It has a great commentary track with the director and Farrell and Ray, and the director is just complaining that, the producer took it away from me. That's why it's not good. It's like, all right, sure,
Well,
whatever
why
you
was
say.
Fred Olin Ray on the commentary?
Because he released the film on his Retro Media label.
Cool.
But so John Fasano, though, he was very well loved, like in cult circles. He was like kind of like a Hollywood guy, was always around.
And didn't he make masks or something like that? He was into...
That sounds about right. I'm not 100% sure. He unfortunately passed away just a couple of years ago at the very, in his early 50s.
Yeah, I think it was 52 or something like that.
Whoa, so he must have been pretty young when he directed this.
Definitely.
I think
Because
so.
it came out...
It was 87.
Yeah,
87.
he had a
And-
real run where it seemingly got to direct a bunch of movies before people got wise, where they're like, wait a minute. Because he made Zombie Nightmare, which is an MST3K classic, and Rock and Roll Nightmare in the same year, and then Black Roses the year after that, then The Jitters, and then nothing till 2005.
And then isn't Black Roses another rock horror movie?
Yeah,
right?
I believe that, is it Thor that's in Black Rose? Because it's about an evil heavy metal band that turns kids into the special effects that you also see it in A Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Yeah, I think it might be. I can't confirm. But
no, I'm looking here. It doesn't look like it's Thor. It looks like somebody
Okay.
else.
So was Zombie Nightmare, it was the same year, but was it done after this? That was with Adam
I don't
West.
know. I feel, I get the feeling it may have been done after this because, he would have maybe met Thor on Zombie Nightmare because Thor was in Zombie Nightmare, and then it feels like they went and did a movie afterwards.
Okay,
Thor's
okay.
come on, let's make a movie, and that's a logical
Do you think
chain of
s-
events. But
do you
I could
think
be wrong. I could be
Thor
wrong.
sounds like that when he's like, "Come on."
Hey, guys! I mean, he is so affable in this movie.
he's
Like,
affable
Yeah.
and very Canadian.
Yeah,
it's,
you'd
it's
expect
so
him to
Canadian.
be like, "Hey, how's it going? It's me, Thor. I'm
No,
an
it's just
heavy
like,
metal
"Hey
band."
guys, we're here to record our album."
He just wants to record his
just wants to
album,
record the
and
album.
everyone wants to have sex.
and he's
There is so much sex in this movie. I completely forgot
really
how much
really
Bone Town
uncomfortable.
there is.
Just uncomfortable. There's one section where it's just revolting.
Okay, so
Anyway,
the
we'll get to
basic
it.
premise of this movie is it's kind of like a haunted house movie, but Thor and his band go to record an album at this haunted house, and creepy things happen. But there's a lot of funny stuff in here, particularly at the beginning and the end. But there's so much filler, particularly in the
Tons.
middle. And that's not to say there isn't good stuff in there, but it felt like there was
wait.
a lot of
Are you talking about filler? Don't you mean the first 15 minutes of this movie? Because
What do you
if
mean, the
you
car-
love driving, just cars, just driving
When I
places.
said
man.
the beginning was good, I meant the first 2 minutes.
Okay, so there is an opening. All I could remember was the car driving, but there is actually an opening before that where there's a family in a farmhouse, and the mom is cooking breakfast. The dad is
Shaving
in the bathroom with one of the most 80s shaver. I remember my dad having this electric razor. It was the one you
Quite
plug it
a
into the wall.
large, rectangular.
It just looks like a big rectangle, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
how have they not made electric shavers do good jobs yet? I don't understand. How have they not figured it out?
Yeah, I don't know.
But you guys don't like your electric shaver?
Okay.
I use an electric shaver, but it doesn't feel as clean a shave as... It sounds like I'm about to be like Manscaping, who is the...
Manscaped. Manscaped.
Which brings us into our sponsor.
Yeah.
So the father is shaving. What's the kid doing?
The kid is like reading comics in his bedroom or something, and then the mom opens her the fridge, and you hear her scream.
There's
and then
a giant thing of mayonnaise behind her.
The dad rushes down.
It's a classic Canadian mayonnaise, just a giant industrial can of it.
We were trying to figure out what it was, and she said, April said mayonnaise. I'm like, no, it can't be, because why would you put that on the top of your fridge?
Maybe it wasn't opened yet.
I think maybe it was mustard or something.
Or it was just a prop.
But then again, like...
Canadian mustard. For some reason, it's white, like the color of snow.
Or you just use it by the gallon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is the industrial size jar.
Isn't like mayonnaise one of the go-to when you want to make like stuff in bulk as like flavor
exactly.
sauce? Yeah.
Just add some mayonnaise.
If you're making like, egg salad...
Right.
in bulk at a cafeteria.
Lots of mayonnaise in
tuna
there.
salad. You just
feed it to the hogs.
It's like eatable or like edible newspaper. It's like filler.
Exactly.
It's like we don't want to put sawdust in here, so
it's also bad for you. So gobble up.
Whatever.
So we see a monster in this film. There's not really any build-up to these monsters. They're just usually just on camera. And while watching this film with a friend, he said it best. He said, it's like, the monsters in it, you would see making of documentaries at like 3 a.m. on like a public access station, and this is like the monsters they would be showing. It's like, this is how we did it. They're very stiff. I would take a guess. A lot of them were in like Halloween displays of some kind. Like they would fall through like a barn door and be like, "Arr!"
Yeah, it's not to say that they all look bad, they move bad. You know what I mean?
Very stiff.
Well, especially the end one, which we'll get to. But I
that
like
one looks bad.
There's like these little ones. There's like these little ones that are kind of like hand puppeteered.
Well, you mean the dicks that are like constantly spitting cum?
They have one big like eyeball, but
the Cyclops. But their mouths are kind of anything that's operated by hands, like a hand puppet, kind of has some sort of human motion in it, which looks kind of cool. So anything that's sort of operated by wires and like strings looks really stiff and awful.
And terrible, you can tell that this is, as I like to call them, the Monster Mush movies, which is like whatever was at the Halloween store or like whoever had it.
So you've got your
monsters
spookies.
Only show up once, which is like somebody brought it for the day, and then you never see it past that scene.
And the end credits, every single monster has a different person credited to.
So they probably showed up and they're like, "Yeah, I had this on my back porch. It's been collecting dust. Here you go."
I was speaking of spookies, also Winter Beast. I was reminded a lot of Winter Beast because what with the different monster every scene. Now the little dick guy does show up earlier and then recurs later, but
he does.
Generally,
that little dick guy though is completely disconnected from any of the action happening.
Yeah.
Like, isn't he like at a bar at some point, like smoking a cigarette?
Yeah,
there's like a bunch of them.
They smoke cigarettes later.
Yeah, there's a whole whack of them. There's like these kind of starfish things with which reminded me of like the Suicide Squad, which you just watched.
I think it's supposed to be the same thing, the one eyeball guy. Anyway, at the beginning, the mom gets pulled into the oven by what looks like a skeleton.
Yeah, you don't even see her get pulled in. The dad comes down and opens up the oven, and then this like skeleton head just pops out,
him.
like, and
it was
like anything in this movie holds a little too long on the
a little too. I mean, this film is sweating to get to 90 minutes.
Oh,
they're
man.
like, I don't know, just add. Why add new scenes when you can just make every shot 1/3 longer? Which is actually what happened to the movie Beastmaster. No joke.
What, the Mark Singer one?
Yep.
You're kidding.
Is that the producer took it away from Don Coscarelli after Don Coscarelli handed in a 90-minute edit, and he's like, no, this needs to be epic like Conan, and instead of adding new scenes, he just extended shots.
Well, still got to see that one.
That's terrible.
That was good. I actually really like
happened?
Beastmaster, but I would like to see the 90-minute version.
I want to watch it again. I remember those little like weasel or ferrets, whatever. They're really cute.
Oh yeah.
So what happens when you turn in a movie that isn't 90 minutes? Like,
you know what? I gotta say,
get arrested?
I am not a producer, so I've never had to report to producers. But like supposedly distributors will not buy them unless they hit a certain time,
So
which is
like,
fucking insane.
That's crazy.
As a viewer, Give me
Oh,
a
yeah.
60-minute movie. I'm not going to feel ripped off.
I
I'll
think
be like,
that's
good.
what they're afraid of. People are like, I'm not going to buy a ticket to a 72-minute movie. That's not worth my time.
It
Come
feels like
on.
movies are doing that now, where it's like people wouldn't go see a 80-minute movie because they'd feel
I heard
ripped
someone
off
say
somehow.
that was a China thing. That like every movie needs to be over 2 hours.
It could be
It's
because,
like, my God.
like, if foreign markets have an expectation for a longer movie, but
don't
like,
know.
if
I don't
that's
care.
really the issue, how about you just charge $1 less? But of course, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah.
just-
Haven't we made enough money, guys? Oh yeah, that's right.
Especially those theater chains, they're doing fine.
Give me anytime I see like a movie that's less than 90 minutes, like
I would
70.
think theater. I would think theater
77
chains
minutes.
would be excited because the more
can show
showings you
more
have,
movies.
Yeah.
the more people you get, and get back down to 75-minute movies. People would love it.
Nobody has. Who would go into a movie and then come out after 80 minutes and go, "Oh, that's a ripoff because it was too short."
That's actually what I don't like
No,
about film
nobody would
festivals,
say
which
that.
is the movies often are shorter because they're independent, but they got to put that short in front of it. Okay, let's pick
Yeah.
a short that's long enough, and sometimes they'll play two shorts.
Just let me watch the movie.
Yeah, it's like, damn, can I just get to the movie I paid a ticket for?
You suck.
Yeah, give those short filmmakers who otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to screen their work. Get it off the screen.
Boo.
No offense to a short
Oh
film.
man, it was like when we would do the October, April. When October comes around and you start watching those like 80s.
Oh, what's that sound? Is it Shocktober? Oh,
Not yet. Almost.
Well, it's like you start watching those 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless them. All of them are like 85, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
90
Still
minutes
too long,
tops.
though.
The shorter it is, the more
Some of them
we
feel
are likely
long.
to watch it. And this movie is
I think it's an hour
it's not
29.
even 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But I did read that this opening sequence with them driving in the car was added because they said it was too short.
You would never know. I was rocking throughout it. I'm like,
Oh,
so the
man.
music's playing. The Tritons, who only existed for this movie.
Yeah,
Not
it's-
a real band.
They are driving the most 80s looking car, or it's like
like a
one of those
van.
80s badass vans. Which
Did you
has
own a car like this, Colin?
I did
feel
not.
like Colin could have been one of these
no,
guys
no,
driving
but
around.
I
He doesn't drive.
I used to drive back then.
But did you have your own van?
No, of course not. But you'd see these vans around. These are very popular vans in the 80s, like the bubble windows at the side. So you have the fantasy paintings on the side. It's like the cliche thing. And then you'd have the kind of side bubble windows at the back, and all the windows would be kind of bubbled out of like plexiglass or something like that, and tinted. And the inside of this van is so funny. It's like maroon velour. Like everything is plush velour. Even the what do you call it?
The dashboard?
The dashboard is
It's
like
the shaggin' wagon, Colin. Everything needs to be soft.
I said this
insane.
movie was a rockin'.
I know.
And this van is also a rockin'.
Don't come
what are you
a-knocking.
doing on the dashboard? The dashboard is
Well,
like puffy
this
velour.
is a very horny movie, as
Yeah,
we
listen,
have
you're
said.
throwing
Yeah.
you're throwing your sexual partner all over the place. You can lay on the dash.
I guess.
Da-na-na-na-na-na. So they get to this house, and there's this awkward scene of them just standing out front, wasting time, talking
Man,
about
all of
what
these
they're
Evil
doing
Dead
there.
ripoffs, like they all feel the same. Like them arriving, them standing around, them having a dinner, all of them sitting at like a giant table and eating.
Yeah, it's standard because then they have to establish the characters. I guess.
Wait, can we talk about our characters? I didn't catch all their names. I like the guy with the Archie fan club jacket.
That's
I'm
the
gonna call him
manager. I
Archie.
think his name is Phil, maybe.
The guy
Yeah.
with the shirt with the guitars on it. The
yeah.
kind of wacky guy.
Yeah, and he
he's
has,
the
like-
comedian of the movie.
Yeah,
He gets
and
taken
then,
out first.
And then we have Stig, who's the drummer, who with a very questionable accent that I
Well,
only
it disappears when he gets possessed.
That's
Well-
how you know it was fake.
Yeah, so I didn't know what the hell the accent was, but then later on in the movie, they call him. Somebody calls him.
Someone calls him like a wombat or a
No, yeah.
So he's supposed to be
Bingo.
Australian then?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
I thought he was
screws up.
doing like a British accent.
Yeah, he's like playing. Well, that's what I thought. And then he's
too.
playing the drums, and he breaks his drumstick, and then somebody goes, "Smooth move, Wonder Wallaby,"
Oh, Wallaby.
and then they call him like Mad Max. So I guess it's like he's supposed to be Australian.
He's cool because he never takes his sunglasses off.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
how you know.
the future's so bright. I gotta wear sunglasses.
Yeah, and when he has his sex, he
Keeps his
wears-
sunglasses on.
finishes after like a minute. So
Then he becomes a monster, and he was able to satisfy his
Just
partner.
like all men, eh, ladies? Ew.
Jumping ahead, but like
okay, but here another character is introduced in this scene, one that will come back again and again and again in every scene of the movie is the soundtrack.
I was like,
Oh, we skipped over another padding thing. Was an Evil Dead shot that seemed lost and random as it's going around the house.
Yeah.
At one point, it stops and seems to look around because it doesn't know where to go.
it's just that tracking shot of like the camera was on a mop. Maybe it was on a Swiffer.
I say he's just holding it 6 inches above the ground and running around.
But it was so smooth.
I think it's supposed to imply that it's like the little demon things, the little
I guess.
Cyclops snake
Oh, we
things.
didn't mention that there was. Well, we mentioned the little boy earlier, but he'll come back later.
yeah.
And this is 10 years later, apparently.
Okay, so you don't know that. So we watched the whole movie like, what the hell? Like, is this supposed to be the same house from the opening? What does the opening have to do with anything? And it's just like a throwaway line that John Micklethor says to his...
There's no like title that says 10 years later.
No, John Micklethor says
maybe
to his
there was.
manager...
Titles cost money, April. They can't afford to put that onto the negative.
This is the 80s, man. And he goes like, so yeah, sure, like no one's lived in this house in 10 years. And he's like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick a loser. So they've come to this house. They've got, what do they say? They've got 1 month. In order to not
To
lose
record 10 minutes of music?
yeah, in order to not lose their advance, they have 1 month to come up with 10 minutes of good material.
But they
Only
also
10
say,
minutes?
but
That's
they
what I
also say
thought.
we're recording our new album, so it's a 10-minute album, or maybe they already have a couple songs and they need to fill the rest of
I
it
want
or
to
something.
think that that's like, he flubbed the line. It was supposed to be like 10 good songs or something, but it's like 10 minutes?
It's
Come
very
on.
possible because what album is 10-minute song?
Well, I mean, if you're the Ramones, that would be like 45 songs, right?
Yeah, maybe it's like 10 songs. So I should also point out this film had a budget supposedly of $52,000,
Really?
which is nothing.
Wow,
No.
even in the 80s,
Yeah.
it's
And
definitely
that it was
nothing.
shot in 7 days.
Yeah, I
I
can
could
believe
see
that.
it, and
Yeah.
I kind of had the feeling that this movie was made up as they were going, because I feel like the end wasn't planned.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
At the very beginning, it says written and produced by John Micklethor.
Yeah.
It is a puzzle box, April, that all the pieces make sense. Not like Lost. They weren't making it up as they go along. If you go back and the revelations we'll speak of, it all clicks into place.
You just don't get it.
I
man.
also feel like the opening scene with the family was shot later and not planned, although the kid does come back.
I
but-
don't
Yeah,
know.
because he's the director's son.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was very confused until I watched the movie a second time, and then it kind of clicked.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. April. It's like Finnegan's Wake and stuff like that. You gotta watch it a couple of times.
What is that, art house
Or
movie?
Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah.
You see new things each time.
Yeah.
I have to call out, though, John Micklethor's statements in this opening scene where they're all standing outside because someone says, "Why Canada?"
Oh yeah, why have we come to Canada?
So I guess they're from the States or whatever.
It's implied that, I guess.
We just have very Canadian accents, but we're from I don't know, Minnesota. Or something
Yeah, they're
like
driving
that.
the van. First of all, the van's license plate is Ontario, but then it has like
a USA sign just tacked on.
so I
below.
guess it's supposed to I guess maybe for the market make them
Hey,
think it's like an
we
American
needed
band.
to rent a van in
We're
Canada.
an American band.
But yeah, we're an American band, so just so you know. But
We're
anyway,
an American bandy.
Thor,
Hey,
Thor
pass the
gives-
maple syrup, eh?
Thor gives like a glowing recommendation statement
Canada.
of Canada. This might be my favorite thing.
It's Toronto. He says, "Why are we here in Ontario?"
yeah, and he says
Toronto.
the music scene in Toronto is blowing up. In fact, the whole city is. It's becoming number one in like arts and culture and music. It's amazing. And I'm just like, the NFB must have given them
It's
money.
just like funded
They
by the
must
Toronto
have.
Arts Council.
I feel like they probably got no money because like this is such a vanity thing. This is past the tax shelter years
Well,
too.
maybe
so they, ain't getting
they
no
put
money.
that in there and then could have brought it to them and said, "Hey, Canadian movie, you want to give us a grant?" You know?
Toronto's where it's happening, man. The music, the film industry, the arts.
Maybe Thor just loves Toronto.
I guess so, but like it just came off.
He's from
very-
Vancouver. Nobody in Vancouver likes
ca-
Toronto.
It's true. It came off very advertisement.
Yeah, it was almost like, you're required to put this in.
And he's not the greatest actor.
No, but he's very funny. It's just like, I don't know. He's very kind of like likable
He's
in his
affable.
delivery.
Yeah.
And he just
Well, we should
just
point out
happens
as
to
well. that Thor is a bodybuilder, and he won the Mr. Canada and Mr. USA titles.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa.
We watched the trailer for the documentary, and they showed that he had a big mustache back in the day, and he would like do feats of strength at his like heavy metal
His
shows. He would
concerts,
he would bend like
blow
steel
up a
bars.
big
Still does it, yeah,
balloon.
like just do crazy like show-offy stuff.
Yeah, he
Love
would
it.
blow hot water bottles, bend like steel bars.
And then in the doc, they're like, the doctors are telling me I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Wait,
It's like the wrestler.
Yeah, it's
No, it's like,
like-
that episode of The Simpsons where Homer
Homer
takes a
with
cannonball to the stomach.
If you take one more cannonball to the gut, you're gonna die.
What's funny?
Or
I have
if
to
you
bring
try
up-
if you try to bench press one more busty woman, like that could be the end of you.
I'm gonna do it for the crowds.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Len Kabaczynski, whose movie Curse of the Wolf that we reviewed on the podcast, he's doing a movie called Pact of Vengeance, and he wanted to be sort of like his Expendables, like the low budget Expendables. And he's got John Mickle Thor and Leo Fong from Low Blow,
Wow.
who's like
Leo
now
Fong is also an elderly man.
he
at
is
this
like
point.
94 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And he was going to have Matt Hannon from
Samurai
Cop,
Cop.
and also
That's a very, very low tier Expendables.
and the guy who is in that
Matt
the guy
Hannon's
who,
not even a martial artist.
the guy that looks like he doesn't have to be a martial artist.
I know what martial artists they need to bring on this movie. Shuni B.
Oh yeah,
Yes!
no, he's too good. He's too good. And they were going to get the guy who looks like Charles Bronson. You know that guy.
fake Charles
I forget. Yeah, the
Bronson.
fake Charles Bronson. He's not a real action star, though.
That's
Fake
what I'm
Charlie
saying. He's
Bronson.
just like-
He's not. He's not.
This is not.
But then,
the
so
Expendables.
COVID happened, and then he couldn't get Roberto Bronzi or something.
So
is that
he's
his
still
name?
filming it right now, I think.
I think
right?
so. Yeah. But he's only got John Mickle Thor and Leo Fong,
That's enough.
Yeah.
and like I think
That's a real collision course.
somebody from it was like some girl from like Impact Wrestling or something like that.
Okay, I know we're off topic a little bit, but Justin, what was that other Expendables movie that you mentioned on Important Cinema Club that starred Cynthia Rothrock?
I mean, it's called The Expendables.
Oh,
but
no,
I think
is it really?
No, that was like its working title. It came out as the very boringly called Mercenaries, but it had a great cast, which included all your favorite action stars: Zoe Bell, of course, Christina Loken, Kristana Loken, the
From the
Terminator,
Terminator,
3,
yeah.
Vivica A. Fox, Bridget Nielsen, and Cynthia Rothrock.
Oh wow.
Oh wow!
And directed by Christopher Ray, son of Fred Olin Ray.
No shit.
Wow, I didn't realize it was all female.
They should have called it Hercenaries.
There's like a bunch of expendable ones. Like Mark Dacascos directed a really terrible one as well. That's like I don't remember it's like Mission in Manila or something like that.
Ugh.
That has like Olivier Grunner. Showdown in Manila is what it's called. Yeah, and it has Casper Van Dien, Cary Hiroki Tagawa, Tia Carrera,
I
Tia
feel like you could-
Carrere?
I feel like you could do many tiers of these movies.
Don Wilson, Matthias Hughes, the villain from I Come in Peace.
This is all just people like that you have heard of, but are not doing anything right now.
Yeah, it's like everybody.
They're waiting by the phone for
yeah,
waiting for it to ring.
oh, the Expendables. Huh?
Yeah. Olivier Grunner is in this film. Well, I gotta see it now.
They should do what the Expendables would just like the Swayze and like Chad McQueen. and,
They already did. You haven't seen it? Yeah, and it says like Swayze, Stallone. I think
Frank
It was-
one of the Delta Force movies. Wait, let
fuck.
me look it up here because I know that Billy Drago was the villain, so that's how I can look it up.
yeah, that was the one that always tricked me in the video store. It was like Stallone,
Yeah, I believe it's called.
Stallone, Swayze, and McQueen, but it was like Chad McQueen, Frank
Yeah,
Stallone.
I don't even think it was Chad McQueen. I think it may have been like even a like lower tier.
I don't think there is
Lesser
like
McQueen.
Lightning McQueen from Cars.
Lightning McQueen, the car. This is gonna bother me now because I know it's like Delta Force, the Next Generation.
I'm pretty
Delta
sure it was Chad McQueen.
Chad McQueen is so funny. He's
that
got
his
like a big
son?
gut. Yeah, it is his son.
He was in that. Jesus Christ, who's
Martial Law or whatever it was called. Those movies.
who's the one? Who's that like British martial artist? I always say he looks like a more handsome Daniel Craig.
Oh, Daniel. No, the guy from Rage.
Something Dan.
I want to say Daniel Bernhardt.
No, it's
but
something
that's not
Daniel.
correct.
Oh my God, guys, listen to this cast for
Justin.
Delta Force 3, The Killing Game. Cassavetes, and by that I mean Nick Cassavetes. Douglas, and by that I mean Eric Douglas. Norris, and by that I mean Mike Norris. And Penn. Yes, Matthew Penn, brother of John.
No, it'd be funny.
Hey, Nick Cassavetes is my Cassavetes.
It'd be funny if it would be like,
Oh, wait, sorry. He's not Sean Penn's brother. He's the son of director Arthur Penn.
Completely unrelated Penn.
that's not true, is it?
It's not even... Yeah, the director of, like, Bonnie and Clyde. Hey, Dad, I'm in Delta Force. Gotta pay the bill somehow.
I didn't know Sean had another brother.
Are these-
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Is this an Asylum movie?
No, this came out in 1991. It was a Canon video release. Sadly directed by Sam Furstenberg, the director of such great American Ninja films. He did Ninja 3: The Domination.
Directed by so-and-so Spielberg.
All right, what was the name of that?
Oh, yeah, his daughter was an equestrian.
What was the name of the martial arts actor who was in Rage?
Gary Daniels.
Gary Daniels.
Oh, Gary Daniels.
Daniels.
Yeah, yeah.
Just unrelated. Great.
Chad
great
McQueen
guy.
was in a movie with Gary Daniels.
Okay.
Chad McQueen. I don't know what that one is.
It was almost like a blood sport type thing where...
Oh, Firepower.
Yes.
That's the one that takes place in the
Ooh,
future,
yeah.
and
We
there's
saw
some
that.
really bad jokes.
And
And that's
think-
the one that has The Ultimate Warrior in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you think that Gary Daniels is going to be like the star, and then he kind of dies, and then you realize, oh shit,
Oh,
I'm
shit,
stuck with
Chad
like,
McQueen.
Yeah.
I'm stuck with this like out of shape like.
That's a PM Entertainment joint, baby.
Yeah,
Directed
I
by the
think.
guy who did Hologram Man. It's not good.
yeah,
It's
and
okay.
It's like I want to see Gary Daniels fight. I don't want to see like Chad McQueen, this big gut and like drinking whiskey and like.
Do you know the director and like basically the second head of PM Entertainment, Richard Pepin, is a Canadian?
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
A friend of Peter's. It's his her uncle.
Oh, geez.
Cool.
All right, back to what movie we were talking about again? Delta Force,
all right,
The
okay.
Next Generation.
We got
Okay.
30 minutes
Well,
to
we've-
talk about the plot.
Really?
Thank goodness there's not a lot of plot in this
You're
movie.
kidding? We're just at the dinner scene.
I know, but nothing happens in this movie.
Nothing happens in this movie. There's a
Okay.
bunch of sex scenes.
Okay, they start rehearsing.
No, wait, no, we have the dinner scene. So
But what happens at the dinner
What
scene?
happens in the dinner
nothing.
scene?
It's just
Colin?
you introduced to all the couples. Basically, one of the couples is like married. One of the keyboardists and the guitarist want to fuck each other.
One of them's a bitch, and that's her person. Like, I want to say, like, the personalities in this, like, as you find out later, they're supposed to be like horror movie archetypes, but they're not even that well established.
No,
That's so
not really.
boring.
Like, I can't even remember who is who. There's like the girl who plays keyboards and
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, where's the magician or the prankster?
I think the prankster was supposed to be the manager because
Aren't they
remember
one and the same?
he's like, I'm cooking you guys dinner, and then he's wearing like a paper chef's hat later. Like,
Yeah, it's
what?
like
That was the
a
style at the time.
It's like a greasy
April.
diner hat. But so then they finish dinner and then Thor's like, all right. He goes, guys, let's tune our weapons. We got rehearsal. And then they go into the rehearsal. It's like this big barn where they say earlier on that they built like a
They can
24
do
track.
24 tracks.
Yeah.
That's too many tracks, guys.
Yeah.
It's more than the Beatles.
And then like they play their song, and it's like basically just
We
a music
live to
video.
rock!
It's really lame. All the
It was
music
like,
is so lame in this movie.
We live to rock. It's not terrible music.
It's not lame. It's rocking. It's right there in the chorus. We live to rock.
It's generic hair metal music. It's not
You know
anything.
what this movie's missing? It's missing like electric, like drawn onto the frame, optical sparks coming out of the guitars and stuff.
Yeah.
That or something like the Money for Nothing video that's like on
Once when they
top.
turn into CG
I
characters,
wish it would have been something
the
where
movie would have cost $5 million
where like
in the year
Thor
it was made.
they used their rock to defeat like the devil or
Yeah, it's
something. at
weird
the
that he
end.
doesn't use his rock. He uses like his flexing. Again, we're getting ahead of each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, for a rock and roll horror movie, the rock and roll is kind of side stuff. It's like
The word's
it's
gonna come at you.
It's incidental to the plot.
Well, we watch him play full songs.
This recording studio, which I'm kind of convinced must have existed, like if they're shooting it here, because first of all, like the kitchen that they're like making food and stuff is a very kind of industrial kitchen. They have like
The big coffee
so you think it's
pot.
like an industrial space in Toronto that
no,
they
I
had?
think it's
like,
an actual farmhouse, but I think they've got like a McDonald's or like diner coffee maker there, which has like
know.
And then like all the food is industrial sized. I have a feeling it's actually for
the
bands.
mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's actually
Colin's
a
like a
place.
detective. He's like, where did they shoot
Well,
this?
I want to say
Look at
that
giant
like
mayonnaise and that coffee maker. It's gotta be.
The barn looks like a concert space.
It does. So what I'm convinced that the space
this was the
actually
first version of
exists.
Sneaky D's.
Who knows? But
Yeah.
you know, the stage for a low budget movie, the rehearsal space, quote unquote, where they're playing. They show like a wide shot where the manager is up on a second level, recording. So I have a feeling this is a real space.
Yeah, but
So-
I don't.
Oh, I'm
I
sure
don't
it
think
is.
it's a barn in Mississauga.
maybe not. Maybe
No,
they
it
just
says they shot in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, well, we got to
So-
find out where this was.
don't
It could have
know.
been like the original. It could have been the horseshoe or something. And the horseshoe's a lot smaller, but you know, let's get on this.
let's get on the case.
I'm sure
we can
people
probably-
have. I'm
we can
sure
probably
they've
like
looked into it.
we can email like John Mickle Thor, I'm sure, and get a response.
Twitter him.
He's like, what?
Stop.
You say I don't rock, April Atmansky? Then he shoots
sorry, Mr.
electricity out of his
Thor.
guitar. He's like,
Listen to your podcast. Don't ever contact
please
me
call
again.
me John Mickle. Thor is a copyrighted phrase.
You rock more than anyone.
Yeah, but they have like, you know, they're supposedly recording, but they have like a light show going on. They have a stage.
Yeah, while they're recording.
all the girls are like, you know, rocking out, like listening to them and stuff like that. It looks pretty cool. And then,
I hope people like the color blue because that seems to have the only gel they brought with them when they shot this movie.
well, I hope you like the sound.
I like how they rented like a crane for one day outside of the house that they keep
Yeah.
cutting back to. It's like, ooh, look at the crane
It's a
shot.
crane shot. So is it around this time that our beloved manager gets
Archie.
seduced by his name's Archie?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
Phil. He wears an Archie jacket though that says Archie
Well,
Fan Club.
Stig's Phil,
Stig
yeah.
the stupid Australian drummer, breaks his drumstick on the
From
last.
rocking too hard.
Yeah, he like hits the cymbal and it breaks. And they're like, smooth move, Wonder Wallaby, stupid Mad Max.
So he has to go get more. Now, a woman seduces him. I thought that this was the bitchy woman. It's not?
I wasn't sure who like the naked women that show. I was like, are these the women that are in the movie?
Well, 'cause they
All this
sometimes
hair metal,
are, yeah.
women look the same to me.
Because I thought that it was the bitchy gal, but then later someone is credited as seductress,
yeah,
who is
so
actually
how-
John
I
Mickle
thought
Thor's
it was
wife.
the bitchy woman.
Me too.
How uncomfortable is the nudity in this movie?
Oh my god!
Like it's
well,
like
I mean-
ooh. Like in this basement, she like awkwardly takes her top off and like gets caught as she's taking
Yeah,
it
and
off.
he
think her
seems
name-
like he doesn't. I mean, that's his character, but he also seems like he doesn't want to be near her.
Yeah, her name is Rusty Hamilton.
Great name.
Thor's
Sounds like
wife?
not a real name.
We thought that
but-
sounded like a male stripper.
It also
a
kind of
Canadian male
sounds like
stripper.
Rusty Shackleford.
from Zanzibar. Yeah, Rusty Shackleford.
Yeah.
And don't worry, everyone's uncomfortable, but she grows an Evil Dead 2 face and bites him. And he's like, ah!
And it's like
and
the
dies.
kind of Fright Night face.
Yeah, the big jaw
Yeah.
like comes out. But
Yeah.
and then they kind of just go, "Oh, where did the manager go? Oh, the
Let us
van's
never
gone."
speak of him again.
They look outside, the van's gone. They're like,
must
"Oh
have
well,
just left."
he must have just left. Let's go to bed." So they go to bed.
Okay, so I don't want to spoil the ending of the movie, but I have a lot of questions about the revelations that come later on.
Yeah.
Kind of like, wait, if this was a story about Bart and Lisa, why were there all the cutaways? Bart and Homer looking for Lincoln's
Exactly.
gold.
Well,
Because we cut away, like, everyone kind of gets their own time in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have sex, mostly, and rock out.
yeah, it's mostly just like developing these couples. So it's like bitchy gal and
Stig,
the
drummer.
and he can't satisfy her, so he goes to the bathroom
And he's, like,
then
flexing in the
he's
mirror.
seduced by a woman.
As usual, babe, the best.
Yeah, so
the 1 minute wonder.
The demon kind of like takes other forms and is always like somebody else, and then changes.
I think this is just it's a low budget thing. Let's just use the actors
Exactly,
we have.
yeah, yeah.
So
I was excited because, like, when he faces off against the naked demon woman, Stig, she, like, puts her hand out and he puts his hand out. I'm like, oh my god, is it going to be a test of strengths like in wrestling?
No.
Are they going to, like, lock hands and
No.
be like, oh?
no, it's
that
just,
doesn't
it's
happen.
just lame. And doesn't it just turn into a demon hand?
yeah, it just turns into
yeah.
like a
And
rubber
he's like,
hand.
oh!
Like, no offense, but like it felt like we made this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
How
what
dare
can we
you.
make? We could make a scary hand.
Wait, did you see the end to that last Red Letter Media video?
Yeah,
that was
I hate
fucking
to break
amazing.
it to
by
you,
the
April.
way.
If I had made this movie, it would not end with a monster hand appearing on screen. It
wouldn't
and someone's
end.
going, "Oh!"
But, you know,
that's the
It
end
would
of the
end
scene.
with April like blasting a shop vac into my face.
Okay, but
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
I'm just thinking of that because that's what we did for the Impossible Horror Indiegogo video. You made my hand a monster hand, and then I like crawled
Whoa.
across a tree.
Wow, Justin's own actions used against him.
Well, that was
Yeah,
like
that scene rocks though, and that's part of a trailer.
it was a
not
trailer.
the climax of a sequence.
It wasn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's like each of these. It's just.
And I think I
ad
cut out that
nauseam.
shot. Is it in the trailer?
I think
don't
like
know. Impossible Horror fans.
I think like one
respond.
by one. What do you call them? Impossibles?
Impossible heads.
Horror heads.
Impossible
yeah, I don't know.
heads?
Yeah, Impossible heads.
But
Horror-
yeah,
horror heads.
like every one of these scenes where one of our main cast is killed or absorbed by this monster we don't really know is
It's almost
very
like the-
anticlimactic.
It's kind of like The Thing, except if it wasn't
Yeah.
tense.
but then
April, I mean, you can't have any violence because how then would you show it on public access Canadian TV so you can fill that Canadian content slot?
but there's sure a lot of boobs.
yeah.
yeah, but you cut around that, and you play it on City TV late at night. They can show breasts.
They used to, yeah. And
Oh,
there's also
man.
no swearing in
Do
this
they
either,
ever?
I don't think.
yeah,
And City TV.
Coming up next on City TV.
So-
CCTV made me a
Breasts.
man.
What I don't Mark Daly, I love him. What
Rest in
I
peace.
don't get about this monster is so once it absorbs these people, say, or they get killed by a monster, it can now show up as them.
Yeah.
So Stig just shows up and then he goes and satisfies his girlfriend.
Loses his accent.
Why would the monster
Nobody
want
points
to
it out.
fuck this girl? We don't know.
I don't
it
know.
just I think
The monster is horny, April.
Sure, and
He's
then
the
he can,
Lord of Darkness.
but like he can also like play the drums really good.
Apparently amazing, better than Stig. This is
Why
like
doesn't he just change himself into a woman and then play with himself in the mirror? Boom, problem solved.
this is like a running gag. They keep saying like Stig is such a shit drummer, and after he changes into like this demon, they're like, "Wow, he's
Great.
never been better."
And no one notices his accent is gone.
Yeah, it's completely gone.
It could have led up to he impregnated the woman and she gives birth to a demon baby.
Yeah,
I
but
really
it doesn't
thought
happen.
something like
That's
that
the
was going to
point.
happen. And she's just thrilled now because she's like, my boyfriend is now awesome. Like I'm happy. And then he lures her in by the lake and she's like, you want to do it here? And he's like, yes. And she's like, well, I guess I owe you for last night. It was so good that I'll just take my clothes off here. And it's like horribly windy. It looks really cold.
It looks so cold.
First of all, it is bright daylight.
yeah,
It
it's
is
the middle of the day.
glaring daylight.
And people can like
and
see
it looks
them.
like shitty, Canadian farmhouse, just
Yeah.
so brown, and like it's the
Yeah.
middle of fall or close to spring, I would say.
Yeah, it's like a pond that he brings her to. It's not. Yeah.
Oh, it probably stinks too,
Yeah, and-
covered in bugs.
She's like, it's dirty and gross out here, but then she agrees to do it, and then
It's like hand comes out of his chest. It's like,
yeah, he's
Another
like,
hand.
I'm ready, baby.
a hand.
And it looks like the hand has a little trouble getting out at first. It's like, oh,
It does.
here it comes.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to like dump on this movie because I think they did the best they could, and
Oh,
there
sure,
are
yeah.
a lot of practical effects,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if they are very minimal. They're
look,
there.
I totally appreciate this. I
Yeah, give me a Halloween monster that pops out of an oven, and I'm all in. And that happened within the
It's
first
just
5
there's
minutes. so.
too much like of the sex scenes that
filler.
are just like going on and on.
Listen, it's sex and monsters that sell, April.
And
it
rock
sells
and
both of them.
roll.
rock and roll.
Yeah.
Well, not the greatest.
So
rock and
yeah,
roll.
the woman gets taken out by the monster hand.
There's a insanely long sex scene between
Oh
two
my
band
God.
members.
This is like the second sex. Well, first of all, there's
Sex
like
montage.
the sex montage. This is
and that's Colin's favorite thing.
this
sex
is
montages.
so uncomfortable, and this is like you get the vibe that you're watching like a snuff
It's
film
like
or something.
close-ups of them kissing
But it's just
man,
like Thor and this girl
Okay.
in the
in the shower.
I think I was more offended by how awful the shower was. It's kind of
when
like,
when you were saying like, oh, it's so uncomfortable, I thought, wait, I saw this movie with people. I thought I had seen it with you guys, and then I realized, no, I saw it at the theater with a crowd full of people when Thor was in the audience.
oh god.
So that was it.
Because it played after his documentary.
and they were just going, oh.
So what?
yeah, we were like, yeah.
It was probably.
Everyone in raincoats watching Rocky
See, I
Oh,
feel
it's
like
so
in a dark
gross.
theater, you can laugh at this stuff, unlike in like a room
not if you
full
don't
of
want to
your
get beaten up by
friends.
Thor.
Oh, it's just like but it's like they're in this like shower and just like tonguing one another, and it's just the
And
it's,
cameraman
like,
is just like
and
so,
that's not his wife. I got a real The Room vibe.
but is there it's like this the horrible shower head where it's like these two like kind of paltry
You're
like
focusing on the
little
shower
sways.
head. You
Oh,
need to clean that.
I was-
calcium out of
I
that.
was
He's
more
like,
offended
You're
by
not
the
going to get any good water pressure out of that, bro.
I was more offended by the shower spray than anything that was on camera.
As a
And
home
you know,
improvement.
Colin and April, we've all felt that shitty Canadian shower, right? Where it's like, ugh,
no, man.
it hasn't been cleaned in ages.
At people's cottages, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, at cottages. But this thing is like a full shower head, but only two of like the little like holes
two
are spraying water,
straight.
and it's like this just
Maybe they
pathetic.
plugged it up because Thor was like, I need to see my whole body on screen.
Yeah, I don't want to expose my receding
Real
hairline.
quick, there's another scene that we
What?
kind
He
of
has
skipped
receding
over
hairline.
about the groupies, the fan club.
Oh, well, it's so boring. It was easy to forget.
It is boring, but I did think I thought the band manager's performance in that scene was really good. He's like, take your tops off. What are you here for, ladies?
No, it's
and
because
starts,
he's
like
becoming
grabbing
Yeah,
teen
so a
boobs.
bunch of
Yeah.
women show up to just bother the band because they're fans. And it's like, oh, okay, this is a good way to, have some more kills in the movie. Nope. They just
yeah,
get,
and then they just leave.
They just leave. They meet the band member who's like the possessed drummer, and he's like, take your top
It was
off,
the manager,
ladies.
actually. But
Yeah,
was the manager?
We'd
All right.
already seen die.
yeah.
So we as the
Yeah.
audience know. But I think it would
They're
have
all
been
possessed now.
I think it almost would have been better if there were no women to start with, and then this is where like new characters are introduced into the movie or something.
Yeah, it is.
But who would have sex? It would have to be with each other. Which I
Well,
guess.
it is like we're here to do this thing and our girlfriends.
But then they're
It's
gone like after,
yeah.
in 30 seconds, 60 seconds. So it's like, what was the point of even bringing them into the scene?
90 minutes, Colin. 90 minutes.
Or else, they get arrested.
Yeah.
So this horrible...
Yeah, they come to your house. They're like, you submitted a film of less than 90 minutes.
Okay, so
they
this,
shoot you.
Well, there's this horrible sex
OPP.
montage. Okay, so then we get like Thor. I was gonna say Thor and his girlfriend in the shower, and then the keyboardist and guitarist who also hooked up in this montage.
Oh my
they're like
God,
finishing
they had
up.
sex for so long.
I know, and then
Yeah.
they finish up, and then they see this kid. Who is the kid from the very beginning of the movie, from the family that got killed. He kind of like leads them down into the. He runs out into the barn, and they're like, "Hey, little kid, like, what's going on?" And then
He's like, I'm a wolf boy.
not yet, but then so the music, the soundtrack is like this, I don't know, synthesizer pan flute. It's like
Listen, the Tritons were a very experimental band. So you get the heavy metal. You get like at one point a Halloween whip-off playing on the soundtrack.
yeah, it's a very very weird. So then this kid like leads them into, I don't know, the basement of the barn or
Oh,
something.
it makes perfect sense. He's the Pied Piper leading them to their death.
Oh.
Yeah, listen, okay. My book on Rock and Roll Nightmare coming soon
Yeah.
from Critical Press.
Yeah, I understand it. It's So then it's broad daylight, and then he very slowly turns into a werewolf, and then attacks them and kills them, and you kind of
Off screen.
Yeah, you see like
You see their
You see the
shadows.
silhouette. It's like very awkward. And then after all this goes on for very very long. By the way, it cuts back to the house. Thor and his girlfriend are still in the shower.
I mean,
They're
they gotta get
still-
clean. They
Still,
gotta get clean.
and it's not even that they're finishing up. They keep
April,
going.
Colin's like, just clean the shower head, guys.
That's
Just
also
clean it,
it's just
please."
that's a waste of water.
It is so.
I mean,
like-
it's cold by that point.
I mean, there is not.
Those water heaters don't last in fall.
There's not much water coming out of that shower head, but yeah, it is a waste. But they're still in there, and they still keep like licking one. It's like, God damn it!
Colin's like, one and done. And by that, I mean 1 minute. No more, no less.
I think there's rules at cottages, like, hey, nobody be in the shower for longer than 5 minutes because of the
Yeah,
hot water.
there's lots of rules. If it's brown, flush it down.
What?
If it's
If
yellow, let it
yeah,
mellow.
that's the other thing.
What is that?
Oh, apparently,
never heard
if
that?
you,
No.
People at cottages have that like cross stitched in their bathrooms and framed.
Yeah, basically, like, don't waste water, or I don't know what, water pressure.
I think
If
it's
you take
when
a
you're
dump,
on well water.
Oh, I
actually.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
you flush it. If you take a pee, leave it in the bowl.
I see, okay.
Essentially.
Yeah, cottage life, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, no cottage life. That's for rich people.
Yeah.
I do not own a cottage.
I also don't own one. I don't know anyone who has one. I've never been invited to one. I was
No,
a camping girl.
I've never been invited. I tried.
to one. Yeah, I camped growing up.
You just go on like Craigslist, going like, please.
Well, I have to
invite me
say
a
that
cottage.
my stepdad and my mom own a cottage, and yep, that's it. I don't like going to it. It's miserable. I went to it through my young life, and there would be 30 people there all the time,
What?
like friends, families,
Wow.
cousins. We'd all sleep in the basement. It was hell.
Basement
I
of a
hated it.
cottage?
So it wasn't like
Yep, we slept in the basement of
it
the
wasn't
cottage.
very big then.
Most cottages don't have basements.
It was okay. It didn't have a second floor, so it was just like a one floor at the top, and it had a basement. It was like on a mountain because it was like by a ski hill because the
Oh.
people who owned it like skiing a lot, and I think that's how.
Was this like a
my stepdad
chalet
and my
or
mom-
something?
Yeah, chalet,
Okay.
Swiss chalet.
Swiss
for all
chalet.
your.
Oh.
I did have a friend in high school who had a huge cottage, and I
Really?
had been there twice.
I mean, I'm sure their parents were very evil.
Well, no,
Probably like
they were
oil-
nice.
oil barons or
they were
something
nice.
like that.
So
Oil
a bunch of us went up a couple times. No, sorry, one time, and then another time it was just like the four of us. So we had all
Isn't it
this
weird
room.
how many people though that you know were like, oh, I'm just going to a cottage this weekend. I'm like, how? How? I want a house, a townhouse. I'll take a townhouse. You got a fucking cottage?
I think that's a Canadian
kill
thing.
you.
I think that's a Canadian thing. It's just like going up to the cottage. Like that's very common. Or a trailer, it's much more common.
I mean, trailer's different.
it was-
I went camping a lot as a kid.
Me too.
In one of those shitty trailers that you have to like crank up.
Oh,
to get it
yeah,
up.
yeah,
A tent
Yeah,
trailer.
and then you
It kind of
pull it out,
expands.
yeah.
It's a tent trailer.
Yeah, we would. Well, I would go with friends later on in my like teens and stuff. We'd go up to Tobermory and we'd camp. We'd rent out a campsite and we'd just sort of pitch tents and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, not in our pants, but anyway. But then we would start renting cottages up in like in northern Ontario. You just rent it for like May 2 for a weekend.
I've looked into it, and like renting cottages is like so expensive.
No, but the thing
So,
was,
like, I
we
get a
would
bunch
go
of
up.
people,
We would
right?
go up with like say
Yeah.
8 of us or something.
Yeah.
So,
So you'd split
divided, say like 3-4 days, it would be very affordable. But then, yeah, I don't know where I was going.
Wait, is there like a horror story that's coming? You're like, but then,
Then one
we
day-
accidentally killed someone, and I was the last survivor when that person came back from the dead to take us all
Okay,
out.
enough for the cottage and camping talk.
Wait, we gotta go back to the movie?
No.
Let's get to the end of this movie.
Now, okay.
Which is
now,
actually
I gotta say,
okay.
this is my favorite part.
The end?
No, the twist, which I did not see coming. And
M. Night Shyamalan
How could you?
was a script doctor.
it is very random, but I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, but I feel like it wasn't planned.
Hey, who cares if it was planned?
They just were like, hey,
sure-
what if we do... Thor was
April,
like...
Colin, life isn't planned, is
Exactly.
it? You know, you just gotta go your own
you know,
way.
life just is what happens when you
You
when
gotta go
making
your
plans.
own way.
Was that Paul McCartney that said that?
I think it was John Lennon.
Life is what happens when you...
Life's just what happens
Making
when
other
you're
plans.
making up your
Your cottage
when you're trying to make plans.
Your cottage plan.
You're trying to make your cottage plans. Life's what happens.
So, what is the twist? Because Thor's the last survivor, and then it's his wife is like, "I'm evil, and I'm gonna kill you now."
Yeah, and he's like, "Whatever, bub," and he starts calling.
"Isn't he sitting at like a typewriter?"
Well, no, he's writing lyrics
Just
to
a shitty table.
He's like, I gotta get writing that love song that I've been talking about the whole movie, and then all the little snake cyclops creatures are kind of like,
Okay, they're dick creatures.
Yeah,
Let's give them
whatever.
the proper names. Yeah.
and
hanging
then
out.
yeah, he keeps calling her bub, and then he's like, I know who you are, Beelzebub, and it turns out that it was a whole ruse. He knew the entire time, and all the characters in the movie have been conjurings because he's the
Yeah, so-
archangel.
He's a god.
So it should be cleared up that every character we've seen was not really real, did not have their own consciousness.
They were illusions.
They were illusions. And he's
but
like,
they felt love. They got married.
They had sex in scenes where, by themselves.
So
Yeah.
was it Thor who was having sex?
Yeah, Thor-
Like was he like puppeting
oh
them?
yeah, I wonder. It was
was
like
getting his
It
jollies
was like
off.
his holodeck. So he was like, he was.
Oh no, it's deactivated. Now they're all real.
Yeah, so he like conjured. He's like, I conjure all these characters based on like archetypes from like horror movies,
You know, the one with the mask.
just so your minions could have like characters to
Thor
play
is
with.
like a one-liner machine in this final
Oh, he's
scene. He's
amazing.
like cracking
I love it.
wise.
Yeah. So anyway, she turns into this really funny looking puppet.
This is my favorite thing.
Oh.
The pup.
Beelzebub himself.
Like, the arms-
looks like he's gonna topple over at
Yeah.
any moment.
Not only that, but the arms are like floppy in their sockets,
Yeah.
and they're held up by
It looks
strings.
like sausage
It looks like
arms,
very precariously balanced on wires.
Yeah.
It
and then-
looks like a high school play, like
Yeah,
worse.
It's a good thing that they have the one weapon to defeat Archangel Thor, starfish.
starfish that are thrown at him from off screen.
Before that, though, he turns into his like Triton persona,
Oh, yeah.
and he
And
has
he flexes,
he has
and
a
he's like,
studded song.
Codpiece. Yeah,
codpiece.
He should have had a guitar and been like,
Oh,
like defeat the
100%.
devil.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
this movie actually reminded me of a much better, similar movie.
How dare you?
Slumber Party Massacre 2, where the villain has a guitar
the
with
driller killer.
with a knife drill on it.
I think it's a
but
drill.
that's also a movie that's kind of self-aware
Yeah.
and ridiculous, but it was a lot more fun than this
They
movie.
need some, yeah. Maybe
I may need to cover that on a future podcast.
You should have brought more rock into this, or at least like if you're going to call yourself Thor, like have some lightning or something.
Or yeah, like have a guitar,
have
play
like
it a
Mjolnir
note,
or
and
something
have
like that.
the Beelzebub be like, "Ah,
No, it's terrible.
Too much rock and roll.
It's awful.
it rocks too much."
It's so out of tune.
Yeah.
and like the mouth on this thing cannot even move.
Oh, nothing can move.
So funny.
It's
Ah.
quite,
It's so it's like
quite
slowly being jiggled
And-
about
and-
by like
give Thor credit. He's like, "Arr!" Like he's really trying to make it look like he's
trying to
struggling
sell
with
it.
this
Thor's like
thing.
flexing. He's like,
Yeah.
like when the starfish hits him, he's like, oh, like he's giving it us all in slow motion.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Oh, our Siri just started playing. I think it's playing Thor. Hey Siri, stop.
that was.
I hope it's playing
it was-
the music of John Mickle Thor.
No, that
and
was
not some
that was
other.
Reverend Horton Heat.
Reverend Horton Heat.
Yeah, it's like some rockabilly band.
Somehow we said something that triggered our Siri.
So weird.
But yeah, so this scene goes on for a few minutes.
Yeah, he's doing his best to try to make it look like he's struggling and fighting this thing, but it's just like that he can't touch it too hard, or else it's just gonna snap and shatter.
He has to have a delicate touch. He's a gentle giant in that way.
I guess. So yeah, I guess he defeats it, and then it's like he kind of like says to it that, yeah, I know, like Satan is always trying to get into our world from time to time, and he's always going to be there to like stop it and defeat him.
Yeah.
So then he ends up in like it's a very kind of poorly shot nighttime scene in a cemetery, and he's talking
Right.
to graves. And I guess this is supposed to be the gravestone of the family from the beginning of the movie.
That was my thought, but I mean, I don't know.
He's like, I avenged you, but you can barely hear what he says because the sound is really bad.
Because all his friends weren't real, so I guess the family from the beginning was the only real family.
I think so,
And
yeah.
the kid is just like, is he dead now?
I think he's dead.
Okay.
He's dead.
Rest in power, Wolf Boy.
Oh boy. And then it ends with a very confusing shot, but I kind of figured it out the second time I watched the movie. It's just a random shot of an outside of a house, and then it does the.
It's your house.
It could be anybody's house.
I guess. Well,
And it does- it
speaking
does-
of which, it's a suburb in Ontario.
It's a suburb, and then it does the kind of dolly zoom, like the vertigo shot, which it did at the very beginning of the movie outside the
Kind of.
farmhouse before the family was attacked. So I'm assuming that, Satan has found a new house to like enter our world.
Okay, that's your interpretation?
It is.
You're probably right, but that was really not super clear.
Not at the first time that we watched it, no.
But let's go with that.
All right.
So,
I thought April was going to have a radical, different understanding,
No.
which is like, Thor is actually in hell and he can never escape. Or it's you're watching it and now it's in your home.
I just
That's
feel
what's
like
happening.
this idea at the end of the movie, I guess it's a neat idea. I think they were like, whoa, what if this happened? But I don't think it was necessarily executed so great.
April, though, what is your favorite part of the movie?
Oh, I said it was his glowing remarks about Canada.
Oh.
yeah.
Toronto specifically,
specifically,
my
yeah.
town that I live
Well,
in.
you know, the arts, guys.
Yeah.
The film
We got
industry.
so many arts here.
The housing.
Not really. The housing.
affordable housing is incredible
Don't
here.
look at housing prices.
Oh, boy.
we want a horror
Ooh,
movie.
I'm truly terrified.
It's the worst horror movie of all.
So that's Rock and Roll Nightmare. Edge of some. What was the Edge
Edge of Hell.
Edge of Hell.
Yeah.
That actually makes more sense with the movie, but Rock and Roll Nightmare. That's how you sell tickets, right?
Yeah.
Do you
that's
think
how
this
sell.
ever-
Edge of
That's
Hell?
how you sell.
That could
That's
be
how you sell
anything.
ticket.
Do you think this ever played in theaters?
Yeah, probably in Toronto at like a drive-in somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, I would recommend this movie, but I'm going into it with the caveat that the middle especially is very much full of filler.
There's a lot of
Wait a
padding.
minute, April. You said has this ever played theaters? Yeah, it did because I
At
saw it
at the
there.
Royal with John Michael
Yeah.
Thor, right?
Well, if you ever get a chance to do that, then definitely go see
Yeah,
it.
it's good. It's got some like interesting like character, little like makeup things, whatever. It's very low budget.
Not interesting. Low budget
Sure.
monster effects.
It reminds me of something that like the three of us would make or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
Whatever.
saying. There's better low budget movies of what did you call it, Justin?
Our thing would be better.
I
Colin.
think ours would be
Monster
better.
Mush.
Monster
There are
Mush,
better
yeah.
monster mushes. Winter Beast is one that comes to mind. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Spookies,
Spookies.
yeah. for sure.
Spookies. But if you are a Thor fan, then you're definitely going to want to see
It's
this.
whatever, yeah.
And
I-
if you like the rock and roll horror genre, then it's worth a watch.
Yeah, Trick or Treat,
Yeah,
Black
Trick or Treat
Roses from the same
was a lot
director.
better.
If you like rock and roll and horror, then listen to the Jitters.
Actually, I don't even know if Trick or Treat was better. I'd have to revisit it because it's been
No,
so
I think
long.
I like Rock and Roll Nightmare better than Trick
Wait,
or
what
Treat.
was the one with Sammy Kerr?
That's Trick or Treat.
That's
Oh,
Trick or
that was
Treat.
way better.
I don't really remember that having a lot.
That has a
of
really lame
effects.
middle, I remember.
Oh.
Even though my favorite shot is, of course, the guy sliding down the stairs where he's like, oh!
Oh, there's so many
barely
better like
remember.
scenes in that movie where
Well,
he reaches and
there
grabs
was like
the
a
old lady.
lizard monster in that.
Yeah, he grabs the old lady through the TV.
And he's jumping out of the radios
yeah.
or racing
Yeah.
through
That's
town.
way better. Way
Also,
better.
I think a toilet gets thrown at somebody at some point. Okay, well, it's a really long time ago I watched that.
But does someone get sucked into an oven? That's the real question.
All right, where can you watch Rock and Roll Nightmare? Does anyone know?
I think, yeah, it was released by Synapse on DVD many years ago.
and there's
I
probably
don't-
some VHSs floating around online.
Yeah, probably. I don't know if you can still buy it there. I wonder if it's one of those like, oh, now it's really expensive releases. Let me look. Rock and Roll Nightmare, Amazon.ca. Nah, $33. It's still very available.
Yeah, $33 isn't too bad, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's streaming anywhere right now. But if you can get if you're interested and if you can get your hands on a copy, yeah, I mean, maybe check it out. And if you want to email the podcast, you can email us at nosuchthingasabadmovie@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at nosuchthingpod. And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/nosuchthingasabadmovie. And if you're on the $5 level, you get a bonus episode every 2 weeks. Last week, we released a full-length commentary for the great movie Parole Violators. If you have seen this movie, if you've heard of this movie, or if you enjoy listening to us talk, you absolutely are going to want to hear this. Lots of musings, lots of stories, lots of reacting to the movie. It was a fun time, and I think it's definitely worth a listen.
Yeah, one warning story about swimming in dark water. If you have a pool, don't swim in black water.
Yes.
Always treat your pool with chlorine. Is what I'm saying.
And if you want to find me, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at April at Mansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at DeClueJ, DCLOUX letter J, or on Letterboxd at Justin DeClue.
I'm on Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
Also, sorry. Also, we recently filmed a little thing for Red Letter Media. If you watch the most recent Best of the Worst, I can't remember the number, but it was Dragon Hunt.
Yeah, Dragon Hunt.
Not Twin Dragon Encounter, which was a lot of fun. So check that out if you're so inclined.
We did the ending thing. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's just a little skit at the very end of the video. That's on YouTube if you want to check that out. And that's it for this week. Next week, I believe, is our Bad Movie Lottery pick.
Oh,
so
dear. Oh, God.
Sign up on the $2 level if you want to pick the next episode because you will be submitted into the draw.
You know what? I'm going to go in excited. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm excited. Surprise us, fans.
Our last few ones
Last
were
few have been
great.
pretty good,
And
yeah.
are some of our most popular episodes. I loved the Jerky Boys movie, and now I'm slightly ashamed.
Actually,
but
yeah, we got the Jerky Boys and we got Island of Dr. Moreau. That was
League of
pretty good.
Extraordinary Gentlemen too.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty
Ooh,
good.
that was fun.
that
Yeah,
was
they've
good.
been good.
So yeah, all you have to do is be on the $2 level and up to be submitted to that. Thank you for listening and have a rockin' good time, y'all. I'm April.
Y'all.
What is going on?
You should be like, have a rocking good time, eh?
Yeah, you're gonna have a
Enjoy
good
your mayonnaise, industrial
Canadian,
size.
Yeah, Canadian sign up. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm April at Mansky.
What
is going on?
What is going on? Doesn't a clue.
I'm Colin Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing
No
as a
such
bad
thing
movie.
as a bad movie. Hey, pal, there's no such thing as a bad movie.
And
movie, eh?
remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.
Oh, jeez.